Catch the JP Peterson Show, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. In the meantime, check out the podcast section.
Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Hump Day edition of the JP Peterson Show. Right off the bat, I got a number that will stun you. Stunner. 6.5. 6.5. That is the Caesar Sportsbook win total prediction for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Evidently, now that Tom Brady is gone, Tampa Bay is, as Cameron Jordan said, back to being Tampa Bay. Now that Brady is gone. Does that get your dander up a little bit, Buccaneer fans? How you feeling when you see Vegas slap you down like that?
And care to tell us who the only teams that are below the Bucs? Care to spill those?
I'll give you guys a second to think. Who would you think is the only two teams are worse than the Bucs in terms of win totals? The Cardinals and the Texans. Oof. At 5.5. They're the only two teams, and they're just below. And the Colts are also at 6.5. We are now lumped in with the Colts, the Bucs, the Texans, and the Cardinals. And what do we all have in common? None of us have a quarterback. And the one that does has a petulant little bitchy quarterback.
Who's hurt?
So, what does that tell you about Caesars? With Vegas, what do they think? You ain't got a quarterback, you ain't got squat. And they think Baker Mayfield's not a quarterback. Kyle Trask is not a quarterback. That the Bucs are losers
were a one-man team.
again.
They were a one-man team. No.
That's it. I mean, Tom Brady came to town, and he won it all by himself, evidently. And now he's gone, so the Bucs are going to be terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah. And Todd Bowles, you should clip this beginning of this show and put it on a loop to your team for the entire – just put it up there. They can look at our ugly faces the entire offseason while they're lifting weights and listen to that. Because that's what the NFL is telling you. That's what the nation, the sports book is telling you about your Buccaneers. How you feel about that? First of all, you should feel like going to the window and betting the over, like right away, before the draft. Go and bet the over. And this is, you know what, this is giving me, first of all, it gives Todd Bowles a great platform from which to work and motivate his team. Absolutely does. By the way, welcome into the show. We just got right into it. We got a great show for you today. Scott Reynolds is going to join us at 10:30 from the Pewter Report. We'll get his take on all these shenanigans going on. Paul Grove is the CEO of WEDU. Why are we having him on? Well, they have produced a wonderful documentary on the birth of the Rays, a devil of a story. I watched the advanced copy last night. I feel like an Academy Award voter. I got an advanced screening of the documentary. And I watched it last night, finished it this morning. I got a little tired last night. Just got a little tired. Not that it was boring. I was like, okay, you need to go to bed now. It was a long day yesterday. So I watched it and finished it this morning. Really, really well done. Super, super local. This is like watching a Netflix documentary just for Tampa Bay. And I'm going to talk to Paul Groves about doing way more of these, and I'm going to produce many of them. At least that's my goal, because I love it. I absolutely loved it, and the people of Tampa Bay are going to love it. I think it's going to be a huge success. And you know which one I'm doing? Part 2 to this, the saga of the stadium. A devil of a story.
You want a whole hour? You want a whole hour, don't you?
I need 6. We'll pare it down from there, but it's going to be. But you can't do a documentary until you have the end. But the end is near.
Also, by the way, you
end is near.
You can't have a documentary with biases. You can't do it.
I don't have bias in this at all. I'm completely objective, my friend. I'm completely objective. I don't know what you're talking about. What are you charging my journalism ethics and morals with bias here? Are you seriously doing that when it comes to the stadium? It seems like bias, because we're the only ones that talk about it, or I'm the only one that talk about these taboo subjects of the Rays making money when he says, "Oh, we're broke." No, I never bought that for 1 second. I think more people have now come to one understanding
of that. I would never
question
the journalism ethics.
You would never.
I would never.
To a two-time Edward R. Murrow Award winner,
I'm just putting
Emmy Award winner.
I'm just putting it out there. Documentaries can't buy it.
Do I need to resend my resume to you, young man? Is that what my? It may appear so.
I need to go check my sheet. That's what I need to do.
Check your sheet. Check your sheet. No, we're realists here. We're realists. We talk about what has actually happened. And the documentary, just like this one, unfolds a lot of new storylines that maybe a lot of people did not know, including myself. I wasn't here for that whole saga. I covered it from afar in Tallahassee. I mean, obviously, because we were in Tallahassee, we were very interested. As you know, Tampa St. Pete, 4 hours away, going to get a ball club. So we were very interested. And when I worked in North Carolina, at a station in Greensboro, what they call the triad up there, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point, which is, I think, like the 47th largest market, 46th largest TV market. We had these grand ideas of getting into the baseball business ourselves. So they actually, I did a proposal to my news director. I said, send me to Tampa and send me to Colorado to do stories on how they got baseball. And then we'll do a whole hour documentary. We'll do a series of news stories, and then we'll do a whole documentary, an hour-long special, which won the AP award that year for specials in the state of North Carolina, and the reporting did as well. And we did what I thought was a really, really interesting story for that area. And we came down here, and I toured the Suncoast Dome in 1990. Would this be 1996 or 97? Before, as they were getting ready to start, they had won the team. So, and I was a little dubious even then. Like this place is not what I would call state of the art. It's not even open yet. So good luck with that. But yeah, so this whole business of baseball and acquiring the team, it's a fascinating story, and I think it's made even more fascinating now that we're the legacy of picking St. Petersburg. And Major League Baseball knew from day one it would not work in St. Petersburg. They knew that. They told them not to build the stadium. And the only way Vince Namoli got the stadium was through a lawsuit, or got the team was through a lawsuit. I mean, Tampa Bay was supposed to be number one in line in expansion in '92 when the Marlins and Colorado were chosen. They were supposed to be number one in line, and they effed them over because they told them not to build a stadium because they knew it was going to be a problem. And that stadium would still be empty had Namoli not threatened them with a lawsuit or filed a lawsuit. That's the way you got to play with these people, because they are not, as Frank Morsani says in the documentary, these are not honorable men that you're dealing with, the owners of baseball. They're not. They're just not. They're all about backdoor dealings, making money, squeezing the most out of people as they possibly can. That's who they are. That is the DNA of baseball. It's greed wrapped up in Americana and bunting and baseball and all this. They exploit all of that just to get your hard-earned money. Never forget that. Just so silly people will go out and buy $250 jerseys from the store.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up today. I'm glad you brought that up because I have a story to report this morning.
Oh, good.
So yesterday, and I'm in a big group chat with Casey and her family.
Mm-hmm.
Her dad in this group chat, this was so out of the ordinary. He puts a message out there, "Hey, I listened to your show yesterday for the first time."
Your father-in-law?
My father-in-law. He listened to the show yesterday for the first time.
For the first time.
And I discovered this before he texted this because Casey walks through the door yesterday when she got home. She goes, "What are you buying at the Trop on Thursday?" That's how she starts. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "My dad told me today that you were on the show today talking about how you got to raise fund on the side and that you're going to spend $200 and something odd dollars at the stadium to get a jersey and all this stuff." And so translation, I'm not getting a jersey now. Translation ain't happening.
Translation.
And my raise fund has been slashed in half like that.
Welcome to married life. Welcome to married life. Now, I'm going to get in so much trouble with Casey. Dude, if and every one of you guys that are married, you line up on the right-hand side here and you back me up on this. It's a scary thing to do. It's one of the scariest things you will ever do in your life. But my man, you got to set the boundaries. You got to set the boundaries right now. I'm actually on Casey's side on this one. You should never buy retail. You can get the same damn jersey someplace else on a Chinese website for a third of the price. Okay? So I'm in that camp with her. So Casey, I agree with you here. Okay? But in general, the philosophy here of there's something that you really, really, really want, and it's your thing, you got to put some boundaries up here because there are things that are non-negotiables for her that you will agree to, right? Right? The things that she's going to be and trust me, ladies, that list is about 90% of stuff that you buy. Mm-hmm. If we could veto, we would veto. You don't need it. You do not need it. I'd even go to 95%. But we go, okay, we understand how it works. But there's got to be reciprocation. Yes, buying a jersey full retail price in the team store is stupid, and it is not good fiduciary responsibility.
Hey,
that said,
I will say this though. I will say this because you talked about.
What you need to do is make a compromise here. Is you say, I need to keep my fund, but I will buy it in a more reasonable.
But here's the thing, though. Okay, hear me out, though. I've already gotten my fair share of everything. Okay, because remember last week I got the Fred McGriff shirt and I got the other shirt.
That's right.
And I bought this hat. So that's 3 Rays items in the past 3 weeks that I've purchased. Okay, that's number one.
It's getting a little excessive.
This is
at full retail, by the way.
Full retail, by the way.
Full retail.
2 tickets to opening day. Right, so $70 a pop, which I'm fine with. It's opening day, whatever, but it's still $70 a pop.
She's going, right?
No, she is not going to the Trop. No, she hates baseball games.
Okay,
at the Trop.
All right.
And then you're gonna laugh at me.
So
for
she
this
doesn't
one.
have to go. So that's a point for her.
And you're gonna laugh at me for this one. I'm still one of those guys who loves to play. I like to play my video games here and now. And MLB The Show came out. On the 23rd, there was early access, and I really wanted to play. Well, the early access, it was going to be $30 more than waiting 5 days and getting the normal copy. And I explained it to her. I was like, listen, look at all these things that you get if you order it now and all this stuff. So I basically ended up getting the $100 version of this game. Okay, so what I'm saying here is I've already pushed the boundaries enough.
Okay.
In the past 3
all
weeks.
Right, now that I have the full story,
with my Rays fund,
I'm fully on Casey's side.
I've already pushed the boundaries with my Rays fund. So the jersey is probably it would have been overkill. It would have been overkill.
Bro.
It would have been
overkill. Now I'm fully on her side.
So that's why I'm not upset today.
Okay. Well, you've established some boundaries, which is good. You're going to have some things that you want to spend money on, so that is good. But yeah, I will agree with Casey and call you. Agree with her and call you on this one. You are pushing the boundaries, and that's way too much. So yes, get on the Chinese website and go get the same thing for a third of the price, and be happy about it. And if shipping takes 6 weeks, tough luck.
If it comes in the numbers on the side instead of on the back, if the name's spelled wrong.
I've seen this stuff.
I mean, that stuff could happen if I ordered from Fanatics. To
exactly.
Be fair. So I mean,
and by the way, it's made in the same freaking factory. It's made in the same freaking place. It's just those are the ones that go out the back door that the guys sell.
God, people are hard on me in the comments. Tell me I got to regain control. Like I'm losing it already. I'm 2 weeks in.
No, come on. We just heard the whole story. Guys, now when you hear the whole story, he was taking it too far. Boundaries are good.
I pushed.
You've established.
I got very excited about my race.
You got a little greedy, and that was. I think you were trying to see how far you could push. And Casey said, "I've had enough."
I did.
That's enough.
I did not think her father-in-law would be listening to that part of the show and then reporting it.
They're always listening.
He sold me out. He sold me out.
As well he should have in this particular case. Listen, you're on the public airwaves, bro. You got to understand there are consequences to your comments. And you learn that the hard way. But I think in the end, Nick, as unpaid financial advisor, it's always a plus. Bad as if she said sure and she gets something of equal value. Oh, absolutely right, Richie P. That's when you really get in trouble. Oh, you're going to buy that 200? Oh, okay. All right. Got a little tripped up. What is that called? Ulta coming up. Oh, wherever the big makeup superstore. What is that? Ulta? Whatever. Or whatever.
Hers is Nordstrom.
Oh, dude.
But not just any Nordstrom. It's got to be the International Mall Nordstrom.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's got to be that one.
That's a lipstick. Going to cost you $250 there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you better straighten up. What else we got in here? Any other comments on that?
Thankfully, no. Everyone leave me alone. Please.
Detroit is not at the bottom? No, I'll tell you.
Detroit is near the top.
Yeah.
Detroit is near the top. They're going to win that division this year. You heard it now.
I'll hit them real quick. Bengals at the top, 11.5. Chiefs, 11.5. Niners, 11.5. Bills, 10.5. Eagles, 10.5. Cowboys, 9.5. Jags, 9.5. Chargers, 9.5. Dolphins, 9.5. Saints, 9.5. It's all about the quarterback. Jets, 9.5 because they're getting Rodgers, I guess. Lions, 9. Ravens, 8.5. Browns, 8.5. Browns, 8.5. Broncos, 8.5. Vikings, 8.5. The Broncos, 8.5. The Giants, 8.5. Steelers, 8.5. Seahawks, 8.5. Packers, 7.5. Falcons, 7.5. Panthers, 7.5. Bears, 7.5. The Bears. The Rams, 7.5. The Raiders, 7.5. Patriots, 7.5. Titans, 7.5. Commanders, 7.5. And then the lowly losers. Colts and Bucs, 6.5. Cardinals, Texans, 5.5. Man, that is a double deuce right on our heads. Just because Brady left, now I'm really pissed. Did you people not watch Brady last year? Vegas? Did you not watch him? No, you didn't because you put his over-under at 35 touchdowns, and I bet the over like a fool. I didn't know that the whole thing was going to come crash. I didn't know it was going to show up looking like Manute Bowl. I mean, golly. It just...
Manute Bowl. Where did that come from?
He's the skinniest person I could think of.
Manute Bowl.
That's the skinniest
You
person I
said
could
Brady
think of.
showed up looking like Manute Bowl.
He was a little thin. He was a little thin in the face.
Oh
is
my
what my point
gosh.
being. He was a little thin. You know? Yeah. He looked a little thin.
Just continue.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's get to Todd Bowles. Let's stop the shenanigans, for
I'll
God's
just
sakes.
tell you with that. I don't even know if you told me to make an argument for the Bucs to be the 30th best team in the league or the third worst in this scenario. Like, how would you even make that argument? Like, where do you go to? Like, besides quarterback, and I guess that's to me that's the only thing that they're taking account with these win totals. But like, what other argument do you make? That the Bucs are the third worst team in the league, minus Tom Brady and a bunch of old veterans that nobody wants.
I think, honestly, that is a huge indictment of Todd Bowles.
I mean, that was the only other thing I could go to.
It's
but
a huge indictment of Todd Bowles.
But I think it's a bit. I mean, you're going to put this roster in the same vein as, and I know that they've done a lot of work to it, but you're going to put it next to Houston. You're going to put it next to Arizona.
Listen, Vegas isn't always right. Vegas is not always right. But I do think it does reflect the national perception.
Oh, yeah, and Todd Bowles admitted that yesterday, that it's going to be.
Yeah, we're going to get into some of the Todd Bowles sound here. By the way, we're going to get to the Lightning as well. Lightning with a big 4-0 win last night and really, really kind of righted the ship. It's one game, but it's actually two games. The Boston game and the Carolina game. This team got back to playing their level of hockey, their level of physical attentiveness in the defensive end, hitting people instead of sticking their stick out all the time. Totally different team. And, okay, maybe they're going to put the light on. What are you laughing at? You get a message from Casey?
I'm just reading a comment in the comment
Go ahead,
section.
put it up
I don't
there.
even want to read it.
Put it up there.
Don't even want to read it.
No, put it up there. Put it up there.
Thomas Casper said, if a wife is doing Nordstrom instead of Sephora, the control has been lost.
He's 100% correct. He's 100% correct. And by the way, now the whole dynamic is changing. If she's going to Nordstrom, you can go to the team store. I mean, that's, Nordstrom is just like, that's, we're just going in there to make sure everybody knows we shop at Nordstrom, and we're very, very rich. We're very, very rich. When you walk through the doors of there, you just sell out, just yell out, I'm rich, and I'm going to pay 3 times more for everything that I really need to. Watch me.
The stuff in there really sucks. Remember that told you went to Nordstrom, and I went to the men's section, and they had the Brady brand down there? And it was like gated off by like these like red ropes and everything.
It's debatable if that's really a men's section. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. If you're shopping at Nordstrom men's store, let's just say you're not listening to the JP Peterson Show.
Probably not.
Absolutely not.
All right, let's go to Bowles, don't we?
Well, there's some good comments here on the birth of the Rays.
Get to some of the comments, yeah.
Yeah, let's get right to you guys. All this stuff is actually really good. Opening day is tomorrow. That's right, Mark Davis. Directly, congratulations. Detroit not the bottom. No, Detroit is an ascending team. You have not been paying attention. Falcons with Ritter are above the Yucks. Yeah, they named Desmond Ritter the starter, by the way. Taylor Heineke.
I did.
Hate to tell you this. We had Dave Archer on the show a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and he's like, "Yeah, look, the kids showed some stuff, and they want to see it." So, but this is all great news for the Buccaneers, by the way. If this doesn't get your competitive juices flowing, Mike Evans and the rest of the boys,
it is.
Then,
but I
then
think
you
the
just
Falcons,
don't care anymore.
I think the Falcons are. I've been saying it. I think they're a sneaky underrated team. And
I do
this
too.
morning they added Calais Campbell, who's still got some gas left in the tank. I think
Does
at
he?
36.
Does he?
He's a solid player. He's a solid player.
He's a mountain of a man.
And Atlanta needs veterans. They need leadership. And I thought it was really cool. I know you love Arthur Blank.
Yes.
He had a 45-minute phone call with Arthur Blank. And
Calais Campbell?
Yeah, Calais Campbell. And this is why he signed with Atlanta, because Arthur Blank spoke to him for 45 minutes about all the opportunities off the field, serving in the community, and all these things, because that's really important to Calais Campbell.
Well,
so
Atlanta,
none of it was even about football.
Atlanta is a city in big turmoil right now. Huge turmoil. There is a racial tension in Atlanta that is completely fueled by the media, by the way. That is palpable. I know a lot of people that live there, and it's not good. And Calais Campbell is a person that can come in there and really do some great work.
He's a Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Arthur Blank knows exactly what's going on in Atlanta, and that is a tremendous move on and off the field. I wholly applaud that. That is a great, because Calais Campbell is one hell of a human being. He really, really is. A lot of respect for him, and he's a hell of a football. In his prime, he was a hell of a football player. But listen, if you're healthy and you're that big, just like Akeem Hicks, you can be a factor. You can be a factor, no question, if you want to be. And he's a man of very high character, Calais Campbell. So, I would. That's a big move. No, Atlanta is an emerging team. I said it last year that they should have won that first game. If not for that horrible roughing the passer call on Brady, I think they win that game, to be quite honest. And in their last game, though, was a giveaway.
Yeah.
It was Tom Brady wants to play day. By the way, you see Brady's football game on the beach? That was.
We showed the pictures yesterday.
That's what we did. Yeah, that was good. I don't think he's coming back.
No.
I think he's retired to the beach, but you never know. What else we got?
I'll put this one from James. So I guess it's going to be all 1 o'clock games with the one Thursday night national game. Just great not. I tell you all the time, I don't mind the 1 o'clock games myself.
Well, unless you're sitting in
September. I guess I was maybe so
October.
used to it.
Yeah.
They might put the Bucs on 2 Thursday night games now because of the new rule. You saw that one yesterday?
What's that?
That you can now you're eligible to play 2 games on Thursday night football now.
No, I thought they adopted the rule that you can only have one short week.
You can have 2 Thursday night games now.
Really? Oh, I guess then it's got to be combined with an off week, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we'll take a couple Thursday night games. Hopefully that means MORTV. We'll get some games. Morsani settlement given to Namoli. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. And we'll get into the whole birth of the Rays with Paul Grove at 11:15. That's gonna be fun. All right, let's get to some of the Todd Bowles stuff because we'll get to more comments a little bit later on because Scott Reynolds coming on. I don't want to play the sound while he's on, so let's get to a couple of these sound bites. Let's go right to the good stuff about Brady. Bowles' life without Brady, number 6.
No, it's different because he was the greatest of all time. So naturally, the fanfare that comes with it will be different. You're not going to be running to Tampa to say there's not going to be a billion reporters on the sideline. There'll be normal reporters, but that doesn't mean you take a step down as far as your process of trying to win. I think the guys understand that, and we have some great players on our team. We just happen to have the greatest on our team, but we still have great players on our team to compete, and we look forward and we're excited going forward to see what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's another part. That was part 1 to this. I'll play part 2 because they kind of segue together.
All right.
It comes down because I don't know if there was a 1B next to Tom Brady. When you lose the greatest of all time, you lose an icon, you lose a player that's won 7 Super Bowls, you lose a player that brings such magnitude towards your organization. Doesn't mean you're a bad organization. You know, you have other great players. Great players don't win a Super Bowl by themselves. Great players, you lose the aura. He deserves every accolade he gets. He should go in the Hall of Fame by himself. But you don't lose the team you have. You change it. It's different because you don't have Tom Brady, but no one else has Tom Brady either. So you bring in the necessary pieces to still help you compete, and you make sure the team is playing good ball, and you go that route. And I look forward to the excitement that the guys we have to prove that they can still play away from Tom coming into this season.
Okay. All right. You know what you lose with Tom Brady this year? The 18th ranked QBR quarterback in football. So if you were, let's just say you were losing a guy who was the 18th ranked QBR guy, would there be all this doom and gloom? No. But because his name is Tom Brady, everybody feels like, oh, you've lost the greatest of all time. You're going to suck. No. And I think I've been harping on this, and I'll keep saying it. Tom Brady was not Tom Brady last year. Yeah, maybe we lost the 2021 version, but that's what we got last year was the 18th. If you're going by QBR, ESPN's QBR, he was right above Kyler Murray and right behind Justin Fields and Jimmy Garoppolo and Trevor Lawrence. Marcus Mariota was 13th. Jacoby Brissett was 8th, by the way. So, it's all how you look at the quarterback's situation. But I'm here to tell you that Bowles is right. You lose an icon, you lose a lot of eyeballs, you lose a lot of reporters. He's probably not too pissed off about that. But in terms of play on the field, you're losing a guy that was pretty mediocre last year, pretty mediocre. And and you're bringing in a guy who's done some things in this league, good and bad, but can do many more things than Tom Brady can do, which is roll out, do RPOs, do waggles, bootlegs, all those things, run himself, escape the pocket, make plays on the run, which is when you go look at the NFL, 40 to 50% of the biggest plays in this league are guys escaping the pocket and making plays, which you had zero of with Tom Brady. So, again, I'm looking forward to this offense, especially compared to the dog crap that we saw last year.
I'm looking forward to the offense, not because of Tom Brady not here. I'm looking forward to it that Byron Leftwich is not here, and I think that's where I know you agree with that, but I know you're more on like the Brady thing. I'm more on what's this offense going to look like without Byron Leftwich? What are the possibilities that are going to open up now, regardless of who the quarterback is? And I'm saying that, by the way, knowing that the OC that's coming in has never called a play in the NFL.
Boy, that's an indictment of Byron Leftwich.
Oh, it's a big indictment, which, by the way, it's March 29th, 10th, 28. What is Byron Leftwich doing right now? What is his job title? Who is he with? I don't know.
I think he might be sitting out the season.
Yeah, he might be, and I wonder why that is. To all the people, especially on ESPN, who were criticizing the Bucs for letting him go.
Yeah.
There was such a demand.
Collusion.
There was such a demand for Byron Leftwich.
Everybody's colluding against
Brady
him.
got him fired.
Yes,
right?
Brady got him fired. And there's collusion within the league.
Yeah, and everybody was going to line up to get Byron Leftwich, but no. So that's where I'm at, honestly, with it. I'm interested to see what it looks like without Byron Leftwich because I want to see new ideas and a modern take on the NFL. Yeah. And I'm hopeful that Dave Canales can bring that.
Well, it's from the Sean McVay tree, and not for nothing, Baker did a little bit of something when he was there. So I'm anxious to see it. Speaking of Baker, let's hear what Todd Bowles has to say about what Baker brings to the table. Number 5 on our playlist today.
It gives us competition. It gives us another warrior. It gives us a guy that's gone to the playoffs before. At least you have a proven guy, someone to compete with Kyle. That'll still make sure we haven't taken dips too low. I think when you lose the greatest quarterback of all time, everybody just assumes you're going to be bad. At least that's the narrative. But it takes a team to win a Super Bowl, and it also takes a team to play ball games. And Tom is great by all accolades. He gets everything he deserves, and he should. But to bring in guys that can still challenge and win, you just have to kind of prepare differently as far as what you're trying to do, as opposed to just say, Tom brought a presence with him that you kind of saw. Everybody else has got to earn their stripes, and we're good with that.
I'm good with it. I mean, look, it's obviously Todd Bowles has to be respectful to the greatest who have ever done it. But I think if you got him in a room with no microphones, he'd say exactly what I'm saying. You know, we're going to be better offensively for a lot of different reasons, and that's no knock on Tom. We've been over that ad nauseum why it went the way it went last year. But when we say this, we're not ripping Tom Brady, the greatest. We're ripping the whole situation that developed last year. It was completely dysfunctional, and yes, of course, he had a hand in it, and he played a role in the whole offensive debacle that it was last year. But it wasn't just him. It was a series of things that we've talked about. So the bottom line is it's not about one guy. This is, and you know who would be the first to tell you that? Tom freaking Brady. Tom Brady will be the first to tell you that. He'd be the first to tell you that he wasn't very good last year, and he'd be the second to tell you that it takes a team. He can't do it all by himself. Even Giselle told you that. So look, it's a team game, and this offense will be better than 18 points a game. I can absolutely 1,000% guarantee you that, and that's what I'm looking forward to. All right, we will take a break. When we come back, Scott Reynolds is going to join us from the Pewter Report. We'll get his take on all these things and all things Bucs. Lots going on with the Buccaneers over the last week since we chatted with Scott, so we'll hit all the highlights when we come back. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Get on that new True Body machine, which will give you abs without doing a single sit-up. That's right. Check it out at BAMMC.com. Back in 3. Are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Hey guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. You don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Golden Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
Oh, my God. What have we started here with Nordstrom and Sephora on our comment section? My God, didn't think we'd see that on the section today. Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Italiano Insurance and the Gold and Diamond Source. All right, let's bring in our good friend Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Report, who you got already in the comment section, Scott. It says if you're a Bucs fan and you don't follow Pewter Report's draft coverage, you probably shop at Sephora for eyeliner. Hashtag pink eye. So I guess this is the
appreciate that.
Yeah, the urban myth is if you can get pink eye at Sephora, that's what the ladies say, so they can just use that as an excuse to go shop at Nordstrom. I don't want to get pink eye.
Okay.
Come on, we're not that dumb,
It's
are
all
we?
news to me.
I don't know. I feel like I should have a hat on. I feel a little naked today.
No, dude,
my hair.
I wear a hat because my forehead looks like a 7 head from this angle of the shot. So it's just like, even though I still have a little bit left it's
Yeah.
So you have that beautiful hella hair. Why not put it on display, bro? I mean,
Like Christopher Walken.
Yeah. You got a little bit of that going.
Yeah.
Need a little bit more cowbell. All right, my friend. So you listened to Todd Bowles yesterday, toe the line of genuflecting to the greatest of all, and when he really wanted to say, hey, he wasn't that good last year. We're going to be better. Neither was Byron, so we're going to be better without him. But he can't say that, so I have to say it for him, and maybe you can say it too. But what did you make of that?
Yeah, I think that he understands his team needs to play better around either Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask, right? One or the other. It's probably going to be Baker Mayfield because of the veteran experience. Having said that, there's still a lot of good players on this team, and I think Todd Bowles recognizes that, right? I mean, let's just roll through the Pro Bowlers, and of course, what do they say on those financial commercials? Last year's results are not, indicative of the future results, things like that, right? Okay, but on defense, Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, Levante David, Devin White, Antoine Winfield. That's 5 guys that have been to at least one Pro Bowl on the defense, not to mention 2 cornerbacks that are paid up there in the top 10, 12 in the league, in Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean.
Yes.
On the offensive side,
they're great corners. They're really good corners, yes.
Yeah. On the offensive side, you got Tristan Wirfs, I'm going to say the best offensive tackle in the game.
Agreed.
And a little biased, but he's up there, right? With Lane Johnson or Ryan Ramczyk or whoever you want to put him up there. I mean, he's up there. Ryan Jensen, those are 2 guys. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin have been to the Pro Bowl. That's 4 on offense out of your 11. So there are some pieces to build with. This is not like when Jason Light got to town and there was Gerald McCoy and Levante David and Doug Martin. Like those were like the 3 stars on the Bucs back in 2014,
Yikes.
right? I mean, they still have some championship DNA on this team.
Yeah,
and I think the great thing you're gonna see this year, because I honestly think the Bucs are going to win at least 9 games. I do. The schedule sets up that way. The NFC South sets up that way. The Saints are no longer, the boogeyman that has the Bucs number. They swept them last year. I think psychologically that's big. But when you look at this team, two things are happening. Number one, everyone is trashing the Buccaneers. Everyone's picking them. I think ESPN came out, they had them as the 29th best franchise in terms of rankings or whatever in the offseason.
The over-unders, and there's only two teams below the Bucs and the Vegas over-unders, the Cardinals and the Texans. That's it.
Yeah. So they're going to have a chip on their shoulder from everybody doubting them. Then they're also going to have a chip on their shoulder internally because they know they didn't play their best football last year. Like before Shaq Barrett got hurt, he had 3 sacks in 8 games, right? Ryan Jensen got paid a boatload of money. Remember, Ryan Jensen was a big free agent addition, or I should say re-signing last offseason. He gets hurt in the second play of training camp. He's going to be out for blood this year. He missed an entire season of football, right? And, I mean, he's a ginger. Look out, right? So I'm just saying it's like there's a lot of people. Carlton Davis had 1 interception last year and dropped about 3 or 4 others. There's going to be a lot of people out there. Devin White's in a contract year, right? Joe Tron-Shoenka, he's hearing the B word out there, throwing out there, bust, right?
That's right.
Plateauing at 4 sacks. There's a lot of guys with an internal.
Logan Hall's got a lot of room to grow.
That's right. Zion McCollum. There's a lot of guys with an internal chip on their shoulder. So you got the external on one side, the internal on the other. And why did Tom Brady want to come to Tampa Bay? He wanted to prove that he could win a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick. And by God, he did it. Now, there's nobody on Tom Brady's level, and I'll say good Tom Brady's level or great Tom Brady's level on this team, right? I mean, you're talking icon and Pro Bowlers. There's a big gap there. Yeah. Having said that, the mentality is still the same. This team wants to prove it can win and do better without Tom Brady. So I think from a chip on the shoulder, mental edge, the Buccaneers, if they can stay healthy and have a really good draft, I like their chances. I'm not going to say that they're going to repeat as NFC South champions, but I'm not going to say that they can't.
And are they really that far off, you think, from New Orleans? Like, because everybody's picking them because they have the best quarterback with Derek Carr. And, like, I think I've been saying this entire offseason, even Atlanta, who got the pickup with Calais Campbell, I don't know what he's going to do on the field. I know how good he's going to be off the field, locker room, whatever. Carolina looks intriguing. Like, are any of these teams, have any of them separated themselves from the pack, do you think, to where, like,
no?
You could pick the Bucs to win the division today. Is that really a hot take?
Again, I'm not going to pick them to win it, but I'm not going to say that they can't either. You know who the front runner is in the NFC South right now? Nobody. Nobody's the front runner, and that's okay because we can sit here and talk and banter all we want in the offseason. Doesn't matter till September. Doesn't matter till week 1, and some teams are going to be 1-0, and some teams are going to be 0-1, and that's not going to mean that they're going to finish with a winning or losing record, but it's going to be settled on the field. I think the Buccaneers have actually had one of the better off seasons because they've added so much with so little to work with from a cap standpoint. Jamel Dean wanted to come back to Tampa. Levante David wanted to come back to Tampa. Anthony Nelson, you're seeing these guys want to return. And by the way, Tom Brady isn't here. Like he made that perfectly known on social media. I'm done. I'm out. And the Buccaneers believe him. He's not going to be coming through the door. It's going to be Baker Mayfield. Oh, and by the way, we didn't mention Baker Mayfield having a chip. He's always had a chip on his shoulder. Now he's got his chips are stacked, man. Right. And Kyle Trask has got a chip on his shoulder. Right. It's like, he's not been given the opportunity to get the starting job. He has to win the starting job with Baker Mayfield, and everybody, myself included, saying Baker's the leader in the clubhouse. I'm sure that's sitting really well with Kyle Trask. Right.
Right. Exactly.
That's fine. Like this is more fuel for their fire. And it's up to them at the end of the day because talk is cheap, right? But if these guys are the competitors that I think they are, and even some of the team's best returning players didn't have great seasons last year. And so I think the storm is brewing. It's setting up. The clouds are building. And I think that we could see some Tampa Bay Lightning this fall on the football field at Raymond James Stadium. I really believe that this team is going to win 9 games or more. I'm not going to cap where they can win, but I like the schedule better than last year's. They're playing in the NFC South. Why not the Bucs?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And of course, we haven't even gotten to the draft yet. And I think this, as we've discussed, is a huge, huge draft. But before we get to that, You guys wrote an article on the rest of free agency, and Todd Bowles said he wants Akeem Hicks and Will Golston back.
Yeah.
And I think the good news is here, nobody else has jumped out there and thrown money at him.
Yeah.
Which is good. And it could,
Right.
because the Bucs are like, all right, because if these guys have to play on a minimum or lower levels, the Bucs are more than happy to welcome them back. And I think it would be great additions too. I mean, both of them can play, and they're
going to be a little pissed off, right? If Akeem Hicks returns, it's not going to be for 1 year's $8 million. It might be half that. 1 year, $4 million.
Yeah.
Right. And while Akeem Hicks will be excited to play football again, and in Tampa, he's probably going to have a little chip on his shoulder, right? Same with Will Golston. Not going to be for $4.5 million this year. Might be for half that. Might have to play for the league minimum. But if you want to come back and play, you're welcome here. You know your role. There's a comfort level. And Will, you had 4.5 sacks in 2021, career high. You had 0 last year, right? Again, one more guy probably has a chip on his shoulder, something to prove. And all Todd Bowles has to do is just press these buttons, right? Yep. Bring up all of the negative things, bring up Vegas, bring up ESPN, bring up, whoever's doubting it, press those buttons and just, let it percolate.
I couldn't agree more. Scott Reynolds joining us here from the Pewter Report. All right, so as we move to the draft now, you guys have different iterations of your mock drafts.
Yeah.
Where we started is not where we are now,
yeah.
But because obviously when they sign players in the offseason, it changes their needs and other teams as well. Yeah. What are we sitting at right now? Where are we as a couple weeks, 3 weeks from the draft? Where is Pewter Report saying the Bucs are going first round, etc.?
Pewter Report just came out with our fourth official mock draft of the offseason. We have the Bucs taking Tennessee right tackle Darnell Wright at number 19. And, he can play left tackle too. His junior year, he played every single snap at left tackle and did pretty well. He's a better right tackle. And I think this team wants to move, move Tristan over to left tackle just because he has the athleticism to do it, man. Listen, I know there's some trepidation. Well, he's so good. He's an all-pro with the right tackle. Why would you want to mess that up? I'm not going to bet against Tristan Wirfs, man. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to give him the opportunity to mess it up.
Right.
But listen, I think he can do it. He played and started 3 games at Iowa at left tackle, and the film is quality. It's damn good. Yeah. So, why not? Listen, Ali Marpet started off at right guard, right? Mm-hmm. And started off and was a Pro Bowl caliber guard, got snubbed. He's like the offensive version of Levante David. Should have been to more Pro Bowls than he made. He was a Pro Bowl caliber right guard. Then they moved him to center, and actually he did okay. I still think if they would have kept Ali at center, he would have probably been a Pro Bowl center. But they got Ryan Jensen instead. Great move, panned out. And then what did they do? They moved Ali to left guard, where he was still a Pro Bowl caliber guard, and finished his career as a Pro Bowler. So I'm not going to roll that out. So offensive tackle, huge need for this team. Anton Harrison, the left tackle from Oklahoma, would also be another good option. It's all going to depend, right? And you're picking at 19, you're beholden to the teams ahead of you, right? The Buccaneers had to draft Tristan Wirfs out of the top 4 tackles because he was the last one available. Ended up being the best one out of the bunch, right? Mm-hmm. So I think tackle in the first round, because that's a premium need. Jason Light, he knows the importance of good offensive line. And Tampa Bay's offensive line collectively played the most snaps together in 2021. That's why this team was 13-4. That offensive line was intact pretty much the entire season, with Wirfs, of course, getting hurt at the end, and that hurt. Then safety is a huge need. Listen, if Brian Branch from Alabama is there at number 19, I would not fault Todd Bowles for drafting him.
Yep.
I know people think, safety, that's kind of a luxury pick, or that's not that important.
No.
In today's NFL, which is more pass happy than ever, safeties are just as important as cornerbacks. They really are, because more teams are moving their star receiver. Look no further than CeeDee Lamb, the Cowboys, inside to the slot. That's where Chris Godwin was, playing in the slot. Yeah. Then you got these tight ends too, the Kittles, the Kelseys, etc., that operate in the slot. So you got to have a good safety for those matchups. The Bucs have 2 right now, JP and Nick, 2. Yeah. Antoine Winfield Jr., love him, Pro Bowl guy. Nolan Turner, practice squad guy, not so sure. So they're going to have to come away with an early pick, whether it's first or second round at safety. maybe even the third round. We have them taking Sidney Brown from Illinois in the third round. And honestly, I think the next mock draft would probably move him to the second round because it's probably where he's going to go.
Right.
And he's a ball hawk. He's a clone of Antoine Winfield. He's exactly the type of guy that Todd Bowles wants. So I think those are the two biggest needs: offensive tackle and safety. And remember, Jason Light drafted a safety in the second round in Justin Evans out of Texas A&M in 2017.
Yeah.
Then did the same thing in 2020 with Winfield. And let's not forget, Todd Bowles, former safety in the NFL, and they almost drafted Georgia's Lewis Cine with their first pick last year.
That's right.
The Vikings traded up at number 31 after the Bucs traded back to Jacksonville's pick at the top of the second round to get Cine. But it would have been a toss-up between Cine and Logan Hall if both those players were on the board for the Bucs with the first pick in the second round last year.
And obviously that creates a hole then at slot corner. And Todd Bowles, I think, talked about it a little bit yesterday. From your perspective, do you think that guy who plays that position is on the roster right now, or does that become a need they can get in free agency or the draft?
I think it's a need that they can probably get in the draft. There are a couple of guys like for example, Quan Martin from Illinois, who also played in that secondary with Sidney Brown, is an ideal what we call slot safety, right? Brian Branch was a slot safety. And what I mean by that is he plays safety, but he's mostly in the slot. In other words, Brian Branch did for Alabama what Todd Bowles tried to do with Antoine Winfield last year, which is you're a safety in base defense, then you move into the slot in nickel defense. And we bring in Logan Ryan, right, along with Mike Edwards and Winfield. So there's a couple of guys that can do it. Jamie Robinson, also another one of those slot safeties from Florida State, who I know that they liked. They had a formal meeting with him as well. So I love Jamie Robinson's game. Quan Martin, Brian Branch, even Sidney Brown can do that. I think he's a player that's can play free. He can play in the box safety. He can play slot safety. So I think they're going to get that person in the draft. They tried Zion McCollum there last year. I think he's too tall and long-limbed. If you look at Todd Bowles, he's a big guy. 6'2", right? But they prefer their safeties to be 5'10". Winfield's 5'9". Jordan Whitehead was 5'10". Mike Edwards was 5'10". They like those guys that are physical and tough, but 6 feet or under because they have more fluidity. And if you're going to put a 5'8" guy in the slot, they can cover him. If you're going to put a 6'4" tight end in the slot, they can cover him.
Yeah. It's a versatility. It's hard to find that player that whether it be Rondé Barber or somebody else that can do all those different things. And even and I think it makes your defense better to have Winfield back there at free because those guys can make plays. Those are where you need the instinctual players who can read the quarterback's eyes, know exactly. And he's, as we know with his dad, he's been a gym rat for his whole life in terms of understanding football. When he's down in the box, it's a little bit more physical for him. At least if he's back, he can see the play develop and be able to come up and make a strike where he needs to make a strike. Yeah, and those instinctual players can be game changers for defenses. They can take, turning that 7-yard out, or that can sometimes turn into a big play. Keep it at a 7-yard out. Keep it at a 15-yard dig. Those are
or even down the field. I mean, go back to that Colts game where he went up and mossed 6'4" receiver Michael Pittman Jr. At 5'9". So that is what Todd Bowles has in his head now. Remember, Antoine Winfield started the season with an interception in Dallas. It was the only interception he had. Yeah. And as a result, the Buccaneers' interceptions plummeted this year. So I think that he wants them to be that when they're in that cover 3 look, he's the single high safety. He's reading and reacting using his speed and instincts to play center field and go get the ball.
Is there any thought to moving Logan Hall outside? He's not. I mean, he's not a huge. He's not I don't know if his body type is made for in being an interior tackle. He's longer.
He's longer. He can grow into Will Golston, right? Will Golston, 6'6", 305, 310 pounds. He can grow into that. And that's what was put on his plate this year, is get to 300 pounds in the offseason. Bulk up.
He needs
and he needs to. Yeah. And listen, I applaud Todd Bowles for last year, especially the second half of the season, when he put Logan Hall into the game. It was not in pass rush situations. He didn't, and that's where he excels. He excels as a pass rusher, but he thought it was important for his foundation, for his future, to go in there and take on the double teams and learn how to anchor against the run, even at 285 pounds, because it's going to be easier at 300 pounds when you put on 15 pounds. But it would have been detrimental, I think, to Logan Hall's development to just use him as that nickel pass rusher and all of that. I think Hall probably could have ended up with 4.5 sacks if he was used that way. Instead, he got 2.5. But to me, I like what Bowles did, and that he forced him to do something he wasn't good at so he could get better at it. Mm-hmm. And he's only going to get better and feel more comfortable with more strength, more bulk, more mass when he's closer to 300 pounds. And he already has the experience of going in there and banging on first and second downs. And I think that's going to suit him well. And the other thing, too, is we have to remember the defensive tackles, and especially in the current day and in the NFL, they don't make instant impacts. They just don't anymore. Yeah. And the reason for that is because they're not properly developed coming out of college, because the college has so much quick passing game, RPO, those little smoke routes outside, the wide receiver screens. The ball is out of their hands before the offensive lineman can even use a move to get past the guard. Yeah. So they're coming into the NFL underdeveloped. It's the most underdeveloped position in football.
That's a great point.
And even back in the day, Warren Sapp had 3 sacks as a rookie. Well, Gerald McCoy had 3 sacks as a rookie. Vita Vea had, say it with me, 3 sacks as a rookie. Yeah. Okay. All those guys became Pro Bowl defensive tackles here in Tampa. And Logan Hall, as a part-time player, got 2.5. So I'm not about to write this kid off. And listen, he might be the starter this year, but he's not going to get probably as many reps as Vita Vea will. If they re-sign Will Golston or Akeem Hicks, he'll be used in a rotation. But he's going to be better when he's in there because of what happened last year and the added size he's adding this year.
Yeah, he needs to be better. JTS needs to be better. He needs to put on
huge year.
Well, I mean, I know it's you want to be quick off the edge, but he's just, I don't know if he's big enough to handle the running game. He definitely goes outside way too much. It doesn't set the edge. He's not.
He's got to be more physical. And listen, you look at the guy. He's got a body like a Greek god. I mean, he looks like Adonis, right? He's strong. I don't want he's strong enough
like Adonis. I want him with a little bit of a girth to him.
Okay, well, I'll text him and tell him to mix in some desserts for you, JP, and throw some Twinkies down his throat. So just for you,
let's go.
But the thing about JTS is he has got to take the fight to the offensive tackle. And there's a couple of plays that just I can vision from last year watching the game film again, and he just tries to use that phantom move and kind of ghost around, and sometimes he loops around too much. Where if he takes the fight to the tackle and engages the tackle on his terms, not on the offensive tackle's terms, and doesn't allow that tackle to get into his full pass set, I think he can have a lot more success. Now, listen, there were 2 retirements on this coaching staff last year. Clyde Christensen retired, the quarterback's coach. Yep. He would have been fired if not. And the same with Bob Sanders. He retired. Okay, well, that's these are older gentlemen. I'm sure Todd Bowles said, we're going to go a different way. And they said, can I retire rather than be fired? Sure. Because the end result's the same. Bob Sanders did not get the results that Todd Bowles wanted. And remember, Bob Sanders wasn't even a Todd Bowles hire. Bob Sanders was a Bruce Arians hire. Okay. That's key. And this is the first time in any of Todd Bowles' years as a defensive play caller that the outside linebackers have not led the team in sacks. It was Vita Vea last year with 6.5 sacks. Yeah. And you had Anthony Nelson had 5.5, and Devin White had 5.5. But that's a cardinal sin. That's a no-no. So Now that the Todd Bowles gets to make the hire and brings in George Edwards, who worked wonders with Micah Parsons in Dallas, I would expect this offensive or this outside linebacker group, where there's JTS, Shaq returning, Anthony Nelson, whoever they're going to draft, and they're going to draft some. You're going to draft at least one outside linebacker. We have them taking Derek Hall in the second round. Tell you what, if Tampa Bay, if the tackles are gone, Brian Branch is off the board, they could go outside linebacker in the first round. A couple guys that they like: Will McDonald from Iowa State, and my guy from K-State, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Oh, and by the way, guess where Todd Bowles is going to be this Friday? Kansas State at their pro day. Looking at Felix Anudike-Uzomah, looking at their massive cornerback Julius Brents, and the Bucs met with both those players at the combine. Skip Peete, the Bucs running backs coach, also met with little tiny Deuce Vaughn, the running back at K-State, and they also have got a pretty good day 3 wide receiver / kick returner in Malik Knowles. So there's a lot of talent this year from the Big 12 champion football team, K-State, and Bowles is going to be out there, and not only is he going to be out there looking at the talent, he's also the featured speaker at the K-State Coaches Clinic later that afternoon. So,
nice.
Pretty rare that Bowles gets out there on the pro day circuit. That's something that usually they reserve for the scouts. Mike Beal does a fantastic job. Byron Kiefer, John Spytek. But Bowles makes a couple stops each year, and one of them is to Manhattan, or as I say, Manhappiness.
Yeah. You give him some restaurant recommendations?
I did, yes. And also, Varsity Donuts. Todd's got a sweet tooth like me.
Are you still grieving, by the way, over the loss? Are you still grieving?
I'm actually not. You know what? Jerome Tang has just, I've injected him into my veins. The guy's just too positive. What's that famous saying? And I'm sure he's mentioned it himself. It's don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, from Kansas State to go from
doormat,
picked last in the Big 12 to finishing third in the conference and then being in the Elite 8 in Jerome Tang's first year, and all of the exposure that we got. I mean, how many viral K-State videos did you see of the whole team, doing the little baby, and all of that? I mean, we're expecting a top 10 recruiting class with a couple of 5-star basketball players. Keontae Johnson, Marquise Noel were both third-team All-Americans. Tang was the coach of the year. I mean, it was a great start. We're not over. I mean, it's not over. It's just beginning. So I'm excited. And you know what? And listen, Florida Atlantic, man. Let me just say something about Florida Atlantic. The great thing about March Madness and the NCAA tournament is it is the greatest equalizer. Yes, the Big 12 is a robust conference, probably from top to bottom, the best conference in basketball. You saw K-State and Texas both in the Elite 8. Florida Atlantic has lost 3 games all year, gentlemen. 3, okay? There wasn't a team in the Big 12 that only had 3 losses. I mean, even KU, which won it, and Texas, which won the tournament, had more than 3 losses. That means something. That means you're really, really good. And listen, I'm not going to say Florida Atlantic's going to win it all, but I'm not going to say that they're not. And I like Miami too, man. I would not be surprised at all if a Florida school comes away with it. Nigel Pack went to K-State and left for buku money with the NIL deal at Miami. The Hurricanes have got a great program. UConn.
NIL works.
It does.
NIL levels the playing field. That's what I've always said about NIL.
And you know what? I'm so glad that KU is not in it. Let me just say that.
God,
and Duke and Kentucky, who we beat, like all these blue bloods, man, I love the fact this is like somebody. I think you can even call like Miami a Cinderella at this point in time. There's going to be a UConn is, even though they're more established.
The ACC champ. They probably shouldn't be a Cinderella, but that's what NIL does. And good coaching, they got a great coach, and they brought in some good players with NIL money. Any team in America can do that right now. Yeah,
I'm just glad there's no number 1 or number 2 seeds left. Really, I mean, I think the highest seeds in number 3. That's fun, man. It's like
I agree.
It's just like I'm so excited for the college football playoff because there's a chance that this can happen, and you might have a game that again the blue bloods, the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the Ohio States. The Georgias, the Michigans, all of those teams, they may not be in it. It might be And I know TCU got waxed last year by Georgia. I saw that coming. I'm a big Georgia fan, but it might be, two TCU types
but TCU got in it.
there.
Yeah, TCU got in it. And the other part about
Right.
it, if you have to play 2 more games against real competition,
Yes,
there's 2 more chances you got to lose.
that's right. Absolutely.
You can have a bad day against
Yeah.
a good team, and they'll take advantage of it. So, yeah, the more college football playoff games we can get, the better.
Yes. Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah. All right, my man. Tell everybody what's coming up with Pewter Report this week and on our way to the draft.
Make sure you check out our mock draft. It's over at Pewter Report. And we've got plenty of coverage from Todd Bowles' press conference yesterday at the NFL annual meeting. That's on pewterreport.com, the mothership. Make sure you follow us on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report. And we've got our 4-day-a-week Pewter Report podcast show. It streams live on Pewter Report TV. That's Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel, at 4 o'clock on Mondays and Tuesdays, and 7 o'clock for the primetime evening crowd on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And you can always check out all of our archive shows on Pewter Report TV on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that. Appreciate it.
Great spot for all things Buccaneers. Listen to all of them. Thanks, partner. Appreciate it. We'll talk next week.
See you guys.
Thanks. Kansas State, all about it. They had a great run. I'm so excited. It was fun to have. When your team is in it, March Madness is great. And when your team is not, it's a little less, as I found out as a Seminole.
As a UC, I can't relate.
Yeah, well, we made the tournament, 6 years in a row, I think. It was on a roll.
Well, I think FSU got robbed, though, from the COVID season.
Oh, the
completely robbed.
Yeah, the Dick Vitale National Championship, we'll call it.
I was going to say.
They dubbed us national champions.
And I thought they looked like they every bit the part they could have gone on a run.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I've watched their really good teams play in the tournament, and invariably in one of those games, they go 11 minutes without scoring. Because they don't.
Isn't it crazy though? It's like
shooters.
Then they have this year where like they are injured, the suspension to Baba Miller.
Yeah,
it's like
awful.
The season starts and you're like just completely not interested.
It's over.
Well,
they lost to Stetson for God's sakes. Like early on, I'm like, oh God, we're done. We are done. And then FAU goes on this run that they go on. Yeah, and Miami too. Of course, we beat Miami down there, and that was amazing. But yeah. Anything can happen. All right, quick break. When we come back, we're going to get to the Tampa Bay Lightning's big win last night. And Paul Grove coming up, executive producer of the new Rays documentary, The Birth of the Rays, A Devil of a Story. I saw it last night. We'll talk about that. Really, really cool doc. So lots more coming your way here on the JP Peterson Show. Stay with us. For the Gold and Diamond Source, there is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. You don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Gold and Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Gold and Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here as we roll on. Brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. If you've been involved in an accident or have some grievances against your employer, that's also an area of their expertise. Find out if you have a case. Just if you think you've been mistreated in some way by your employer, find out if you have a case. Call the Jeeves Law Group. It's a free consultation, and they'll tell you if they do. So JEEVESLawgroup.com. Check them out. Tell them JP sent you. All right, the Bolts with a huge win last night in Raleigh against Carolina team that literally destroyed them the last time they were in Raleigh a few weeks, and it wasn't that long ago. 3 weeks ago, 6-0. But the Lightning, the last 2 games, have really put together great defensive efforts. I thought last night they locked it down like they haven't in some time. And that just shows just a level of effort and intensity. Over the last few days, I think Cooper's done a great job of just going to practice and saying, all right, we're done here. You guys go figure this out, because we've said all we can say. You guys know how to play. You know what you need to do. You got to go out there and do it on the ice. And I thought last night they did that against Carolina team, beat them 4-0. Pointer had a couple of goals, now up to 47 on his way, hopefully to a 50-goal season. We want to see that. And Stamkos got him going last night and did something that we've not seen a lot of, and that's shoot the freaking puck when when you got the opportunity, take that shot. And he just a blistering shot. Well, I think glove side up high under the bar. Beautiful. Yeah, great job with Stamkos. I was recalling a different goal, but that got him on the board last night, 1-0, and then Braden Point with a couple of goals, and Pointer just when he's playing like this, and they were patient last night. They didn't force it, which is what Carolina always wants you to do. Force the pass, make a bad pass, they counter, and it's in your net. The Lightning did not do that last night. Thankfully, they played much better. Ian Cole did not play last night. It was Perbix and Hedman. I think Perbix has been, kind of sat down because he's hit the rookie wall, so to speak. So I think they're settling into their D pairs. And last night was a great performance.
Fantastic. I mean, you lose 6-0 to this team 2 weeks ago, the worst game of the Cooper era, and you come back 2 weeks later. And I know Svechnikov's not there, and it's a big difference, but the defensive structure for Carolina, which I hear is the best in the entire league.
Indeed.
The Lightning had a pretty good time there in the first and second period getting through it, especially Braden Point, who had gone cold a little bit, but now he's up to 47 goals.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get to 50, honestly, and they're going to be feeding him like crazy down the stretch. You know that.
Absolutely.
But I thought overall they got back to their structure last night.
Yeah.
That was a typical Lightning game. You heard Randorf and Engblom before the third period said the Lightning need to shut this down now. They haven't done that in a while. Show us that they can still do that. And they did. I don't think they gave Carolina much in that third period.
Mm-mm.
Andre Vasilevsky reminded everybody that when he wants to be on his best, he can.
Yep.
And I think they were just really motivated. You don't want to go back in that building and get your ass kicked by Carolina.
No, absolutely not. It was very well done. We have a pointer goal, and then we'll do a little Cooper post.
Yeah, I'll go to the second pointer goal because that one was absolutely filthy last night from Braden Point.
And they weren't sure it was in because it was so filthy. Yeah, he knew it was in. I don't know what the ref was seeing there because the thing bounced off about 3 things inside the net and then popped out. But it was good. It was a good goal. All right, here's Coop after the game. Very satisfied with his team's performance.
And I mean, they're a really good team. Like, we've played, I guess, 2 best teams in the East in the last couple days here, and we didn't get any points out of the Boston game, but I thought we took some steps forward, and I thought the guys got rewarded tonight for how they played.
John, the way that you guys, this team doesn't give you many chances, especially early on, like just being able to, you didn't seem like there was much in the middle at all. How important was it to be patient, to get those?
Well, to be honest, I don't think we gave them any chances. And so that was the big thing for us. You just, when you get them, you got to take advantage of them. And we capitalized kind of at the end of that power play. I know it wasn't a power play goal, but it's all about defending your net. And, unfortunately, the other game against Boston, we only got 1 and gave up 2, but you got to be pretty happy with that effort. And tonight to not give 1 up. And Vasi obviously had something to do with that, but it was never like he was under siege at all during the game. And that's how we got to play if we want to do anything, in the spring. And so, like I said, a couple of pretty good defensive efforts here last 2 games.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what the Lightning will need moving forward. I'm very encouraged to see this, and I don't know if they have the energy and the physical ability with all the hockey they've played to sustain this type of effort throughout the playoffs, but they've done it before, and we'll see if they can do it again. But it's good to see that when they dial it up, they can bring it in. All right, quick break. When we come back, Paul Grove is going to join us. He is the executive producer and CEO of WEDU of this new great Rays documentary, The Birth of the Rays, A Devil of a Story. I saw it last night, and it is fantastic, and we will talk about it next. Stay with us. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595 or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We thank you all so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We're going to talk some Rays baseball here as opening day coming up tomorrow. And while many of you may not remember the saga that it took to bring the Devil Rays to Tampa Bay, it is an amazing story, and it has been chronicled so very, very well by producer Eric Davis and the CEO of WEDU, our PBS station here. Paul Grove joins us now, and I've named you the executive producer because I'm guessing you had a very big hand in making this happen. I watched it last night, and Paul, it was absolutely fantastic. Very, very well done. And to see it done on this level and for local folks to be able to enjoy it is going to be fantastic. Tell me a little bit about how this project came to light.
Well, I greatly appreciate your compliments because we all want to hear that this story is compelling enough for an hour to put, to give your time to.
Easily.
Yeah, for us, I mean, this is a 30-year-old story that no one's told until now. There's been some books written, et cetera, but we hope that when people watch it, that they can say, I want even more. And that's, I think, what tells if you're a good executive producer, that's what people say. And so far, that's what we're hearing.
Well, hey, I've already said in my opening today, I will be happy to produce the next part 2 of this, which is going to be the stadium saga that we've been going through for 10 years as I've been in the middle of all of it. And that deserves a documentary. So I'll have a proposal on your desk by end of week, and we can do the next one.
What's interesting is there's a whole generation out there that has no idea how hard it was to get a baseball team here in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you were there, you covered it.
I was in Tallahassee because I didn't get to Tampa till '97, till the birth of the team. Now I've covered every game, every season they've had, but I wasn't. But so I was covering it as a Tallahassee journalist because we were kind of an Atlanta Braves market in Tallahassee, but we always wanted something closer or even maybe equidistant and maybe in the state of Florida. So we were watching this very, very closely, and I reported on it all the time, but not to the level of the guys that are in the documentary, the Dave Wirtz, the Al Kecks, Tom Corrin, who does a marvelous job narrating it, and Dick Crippen, who I work with at Channel 8. Chris Thomas has a cameo in there as well. So Bob Height, Gareth Sirius. I mean, just in terms of seeing my old colleagues, and if you've been living here for a while, that's fun too. But yeah, and what was it? And you worked at Channel 10 for many years as well, so you've lived this. What was the most surprising thing that you learned in this story?
It's interesting because Frank Morsani and Rick Dodge are the true unsung heroes. I mean, it was Frank's efforts, 7 failed attempts to relocate or bring a team through expansion.
Ugh.
And I sat with him and watched the 1-hour documentary with him and Frank, with him and his wife, Carol, up in Brooksville, and watched them react to every time we didn't get a team brought here, whether it was the Texas Rangers or the Minnesota Twins or the Oakland A's. I mean, he literally bought teams, and then baseball said, give us the money back so we can leave these franchises here, and maybe you'll be at the front of the list for expansion. So my biggest surprises were how Frank and Carol, they've never been to a baseball game in their life.
Wow.
It hurt that much.
And there was, I'd heard some talk that maybe 25th anniversary season, this documentary coming out, there'll be a lot more people that know the story of how Frank needs such a tremendous amount of credit for doing this. Maybe that will sway them to come to a game. I don't know. What do you think?
I hope so. I mean, we've invited them.
Yes, right. Okay.
But I will say too, Rick Dodge became a really close friend after I was working at Channel 10 and my initial interviews. In many cases, JP, back in the day, we were one-man bands.
Yes.
And I would go lock down a camera and I would do the interviews. And I did that with Rick and I did that with Frank. I was there when Frank got the fax saying you will not be receiving the National League expansion team representation and ownership group that was going to eventually fail to Miami getting the Marlins. So he was magnanimous. He answered every question. I locked down the camera, said, thank you so much. Rick Dodge and I had dinner when I was here and returned to WEDU in 2019. And he said, Paul, I was on the phone with Frank right before he did that interview with you. And he was really emotionally overwrought. Yeah. And Frank didn't show that to me at all. It was standing up tall. He was selfless. He was a guy that just did it for everybody else. And I think those are the two real stories of this documentary, Frank Morsani and Rick Dodge.
And for those of you who don't know the story, and I'll try to encapsulate it just in 30 seconds if I can. So Frank Morsani was kind of leading the Tampa baseball group, and he had the money. He had the money, and he went and he bought the Mariners. He bought the Giants. These deals were like done, and then Major League Baseball circumvented him and bought the Rangers, I think, as well, right? So he was multiple times he had deals that were agreed to. And right. And the favorite quote for me in the whole damn thing is him sitting in the middle of the air by himself going, these were not honorable men. And just to be honest with you, the group of baseball owners are not honorable men. And they've shown that time and time again when it comes to stadiums and relocation. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but they're not. And Frank got burned by it. And then they schemed this other thing up to have Wayne Huizenga, who obviously had deep pockets, and the greedy owners were like, oh, let's go to Miami with Wayne Huizenga. And so he got the deal, and it's back to, and the way they screwed Frank Morsani was to give this other guy, Jim Porter was his name, I think.
Stephen Porter, a Washington, D.C. lawyer.
Who had no money. And, right. And they said, oh, we'll go with him, knowing that they could later come back and say, oh, he didn't have any money, so we can't give you the franchise now. It's just backstabbing way of dealing with Frank Morsani. So, I mean, and that's the tragic part of it. And then when expansion comes up, well, there's so many great stories in it, but that's why Frank is such a hero in this, because he kept,
that's right.
And eventually that led to Tampa St. Pete getting a team.
I'll tell you what's funny is when I was watching Frank and Carol watching the documentary, when Frank says, my wife kept telling me, get out of this damn baseball thing. They both laughed so hard. And then I think the thing that really made me feel good was the fact that they shared with me that Rick Dodge gave them an Australian Shepherd dog as a gift, and they named him Dodger after Rick Dodge.
Oh, absolutely wonderful. So that part of the story is, and then when we get to the Vince Naimoli part, and this is the crazy part about the whole thing, and really it still has a legacy to this day. And Major League Baseball did not want the team in St. Petersburg because they knew it was landlocked. There wasn't enough people within a 30-minute distance to drive it. Major League Baseball has always had that rule for stadiums, 1.5 million people within 30-minute drive. They knew, I mean, even back then it was less. It was 400,000 maybe back then. And there was, it's landlocked. It's just, it's surrounded by water. There's nowhere to really expand for that 30-minute drive. And that still remains the biggest problem today with Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg. But Naimoli used all these snubs to set up a lawsuit, which is the one thing that Major League Baseball hates more than anything, because a lawsuit airs their dirty laundry and all of their backdoor dealings and financial misdoings, and all the people that they've screwed would be out on Front Street. So Naimoli said, you know what? I'm going to use that against you. I'm going to sue your ass. And now you're going to give me a team because you don't want all that exposed. It was brilliant on Vince's part, was it not?
He was the closer. I mean, he made sure that we got a team because he played their game, and that's the way it works. Yeah, and I think one of the other unsung heroes is Jack Critchfield from Florida when he was with Florida Progress. And I love the fact that Jack and Mary, on the opposite side of Frank and Carol, they go to every baseball game, and you can see them on the screen every day when you watch the games. But I think that Namoli was the closer, and it took somebody that wanted to make sure that he did whatever it took for this team to become a reality. Back to Rick Dodge very quickly. When he passed away unexpectedly in 2020, we did a little tribute piece for him, and that's available on wedu.org/raise.
Okay, cool.
You'll see that story about Rick Dodge and how extraordinary he was. But that was the kernel of the idea, JP. When I heard his backstory, I said, we've got to tell this story of this unsung hero. And then it became Frank Morsani's story and everybody else, Jack Critchfield, et cetera. So for PBS, it's perfect for us to be a documentary storyteller. And this really expands our demographic, quite honestly.
Yes.
With the sports world.
Which is a great idea. We need to do more of these. I've got a list of them. So we'll have lunch. We'll have lunch.
Sounds good.
My partner here, Nick, is he's of a different generation than I, but a hardcore Devil Rays fan and Rays fan, and wasn't here for all the how to see how the sausage was made. But he can't wait to see this for other reasons and has a question.
That's great.
Yeah, I think it's one of those stories that you don't hear much about this stuff anymore. So like when he told me this morning, like, hey, they made a documentary and it's a whole hour on this, I was like, I really kind of lit up, because I was like, I've been looking everywhere. I honestly, truly have been always trying to hear, because you always hear these stories about Vince Namoli, and they're always nightmare stories, and you don't know the whole backstories to all this. So I'm definitely really interested in that. And so I just thank you all for definitely taking the time to do that, because like a diehard Rays fan, this is right up my alley.
Yeah, this is a project that I just love being able to share with the generation that didn't go through all this pain and anguish, whether it was Joe Henderson or Mark Topkin, they were in those lobbies of those hotels, tracking down those baseball owners to say, why did baseball once again say no to the Tampa St. Pete area? So it's great to hear their feedback. And we literally flew back and forth. I went with Al Keck to Seattle to interview Jeff Smulyan, the then owner of the Seattle Mariners, to say, hey, you want to move the team here? He wanted to move the team to the Dome.
Yep.
And it was baseball that decided to break all their rules and bring in ownership outside of North America, and bring in the Nintendo CEO to take over the Seattle Mariners. Talk about a kick in the gut.
And what is your sense, Paul, having lived here and lived through this saga? Because I think this is almost I don't know if personification is the right word, but the rivalry between Tampa and St. Petersburg, I think the story of baseball encapsulates it more than anything. I have a little different perspective because I grew up in Hollywood, Florida. I didn't grow up in Tampa Bay, but I've been here since 1997 covering all these things. So when I first got here, I never really understood the rivalry, because for me, where I grew up, Fort Lauderdale and Miami were the same thing. West, it was all part of just one big metropolis, right? So I never really saw borders. It's like, okay, you cross the Dade County line, it's the same freaking city, right? We're going, and when I came to Tampa, I thought the same thing. It's like St. Petersburg, Tampa, it's the same city. It's Tampa Bay, like it's one thing. And then I've been having to drill into my head that there's this competition, and I never understood it. And I don't think it's good for the area, by the way. I think it's very divisive, and the new stadium problem bears that out as well. How does that all play into this?
Yeah, that's part of the backstory of the documentary. And Nick, I think you'll really appreciate getting to know how it was. And I think it's said in the documentary, you look at these twin cities, whether it's San Francisco and Oakland or St. Paul and Minneapolis, and here Tampa Bay becomes Tampa Bay eventually, but it was Tampa versus St. Pete. They're very different communities here, and they're divided by a big body of water. So for us, you think about St. Pete, it's the beaches and all of what's going on in St. Petersburg. In Tampa, we were the industrial port in the Southeast. Very different people, very different thoughts. And the battle at that time was, okay, who's going to get the international airport?
Right.
Tampa. Who's going to get the football team? Tampa. It was Tampa winning in every regard. And St. Petersburg at this point said, no, we're not going to let this happen. We're going to win this baseball team, and we're going to put a lot on the line by building a dome with taxpayer dollars to make it happen. So I think that battle was going on a lot stronger back then. But JP, I think a lot of it has melted over the years, and we've become more of a Tampa Bay now for sure.
Well, I've always said this. I think Rick Kreisman was a monumental step when he took a step back and said, I'm going to let the Rays look in Hillsborough County, knowing full well that from a regional perspective, that's where they should be. There's nothing against St. Petersburg. This is my opinion, and I think shared by many. There's nothing, St. Petersburg, especially downtown St. Petersburg, is amazing. And frankly, I think Ken Wells should take that Trop site and put a convention center there and more affordable housing. It's great. It's just not the place for a baseball stadium. And because of the midweek games, you got to get people there that live locally. The people around the Trop don't go to the games. People St. Pete do not go to the games. So it's just not that. They should build a convention center there. They have the beaches, which it will help more tourism there. They don't need a baseball stadium there. It's beautiful on its own, and I think Tampa exists better as having in downtown Tampa is the hub of all the stuff, and then you go to the beaches and you go to downtown St. Petersburg and you enjoy everything that Pinellas County has to offer. It's such a wonderful region, but to force this once again into a failed location to me is complete and utter folly. And I hope Ken Welch gets that it's not good for his city. That's just my opinion. I don't know how you feel and how this whole baseball thing, now that you've been through this whole documentary, it works out for you. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm a huge Tampa Bay Rays fan. I grew up a Dodgers fan. And just very quickly, when that World Series happened, Dodgers versus Rays, once again, my kids that are probably Nick, maybe a little younger than Nick's age, that's all they knew was these incredible successes. I do feel like whatever we can do, we can't let the team leave the Bay Area, whether it's St. Pete or Tampa. That's number one. We've got to do whatever. And I think this documentary kind of tells how tough it was to get the team here.
They're not going anywhere.
The decades that it took to bring a baseball team, we can't lose it. We can't let it go to even Orlando. It has to stay in the Bay Area.
Paul, you should know better than anybody else. They're not leaving Tampa Bay market.
No,
it's too hard to move a team. No.
If we've got that sewn up, I know baseball has been clear that they would prefer Hillsborough County over Pinellas. There's no doubt about it. But whoever puts up the money is going to be the answer, right?
Well, yes and no. Well, part of that has to be the team. The team bears a lot of responsibility in this, and the owner especially. And he knows it should be in Tampa, but as any businessman will do, he's trying to get the best deal. I wish he would, err more towards the side of being more civically responsible in this and put up more money, because if he put up half of the original 2018 EBOR plan, that stadium would already be built. And that's the truth. So we have an impediment there, but it's not insurmountable. And the deadline really isn't till the end of this year. And nothing gets done until the real deadline. So, we'll see what happens. But I think the documentary is amazing. Getting back to that, you guys did a fantastic job on it. I think it will renew the energy to make sure it stays here in whatever form or fashion that is, because you guys did such a wonderful job. So
I hope so. And it's funny too, because my sons, who are big Devil Rays fans as well, I'm wearing all the gear that they did when they went to the first World Series, which is the blue, the white, the Dodger traditional uniforms. Yes. My kids are wearing all the Devil Rays throwback gear, and I'm like, that's awesome for this documentary. I'm going to go back to the throwbacks as well.
It's good. He's a huge
I was going to say,
fan.
I encourage everyone to buy the throwbacks. Yeah. I'm rocking it today. Like, I barely own any Rays stuff with the little TB logo, the one they wear now. It's all about the throwbacks.
I like everything but the socks.
Well, we do hope everybody really does enjoy the documentary, and let's make a new one about the next, the front office brilliance of perfecting Moneyball, as the Rays have done, and some of the other incredible moves they've made over the years to make this team so successful on the field. this was an opportunity for WEDU and PBS to expand our demographic, and I really appreciate you sharing this with your audience. I'm a big fan.
Well, we appreciate you getting behind it with your dollars, because these things don't come cheap, and I think you're going to find it's going to be one of the most successful things you've ever done, and I think it's going to open the door to more of these great stories being told. And we've got literally, I could give you a list of 50 of them that we could do just that are Tampa Bay centric that everybody would love. And I really appreciate your support in this. I know it's near and dear to your heart because you lived it, and there are many other stories out there that the kids like this have never heard and they don't know, and they're interested in, and old kids like me want to relive it all. We want to relive it all. So it's just, it's the best stuff that we can watch here locally. And I really appreciate you spearheading this and making it reality, and it will be successful for you. I guarantee you. So tomorrow night, 9:00, right?
Opening day, 9 p.m.
Right.
But it will also be streaming on the PBS app in the morning for everybody if they want to get a sneak peek and watch it before.
Cool. And then there's going to be re-air. So go to.
It'll be on WEDU PBS. I think we have about a 3-year shelf life on this, JP.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to get on the air multiple times, and every time there's going to be something about the stadium, where it's going to be built, this will be back on WEDU's air for sure.
Fantastic stuff. Paul Grove, CEO of WEDU, thank you so much for joining us here. And again, thanks for being spearheading this documentary. And we'll see you.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good stuff. And I'll send you the link, and you'll be able to watch it tonight if you want, or you can watch it in the morning.
Send me the link, please.
You got it. I will send you the link. It's fantastic. And again, this is unfortunately, local news has kind of dwindled over the years because of cord cutting and everything else, and we don't get the huge audiences. So our local stations, for whatever reason, have just said that sports is not important, and they've cut back on it, cut back on staffing and everything. So, I mean, we used to do incredible specials at News Channel 8, sports specials. We used to do hour-long pregame shows for the Buccaneers with 25 people working on a Sunday morning. The local stations don't do that anymore. They really can't from a financial standpoint because the game has just changed. They could, I guess. They could invest in it, but they choose not to. Yeah. So for PBS to step up and do this is important because it takes money to make these things.
Yeah. And this documentary, the excitement I have for it, it just adds to the overall feel that I have about opening day tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in Ray's crazy mode for like 3 weeks now.
This will really get you going.
I wore Ray's gear every single day last week to the show. I've already started this week again. Like, I'm ready to roll.
Yeah.
With opening day.
Yeah.
And I got the documentary. I've been reading through all the Times articles that they've been doing about going through memory lane of the 25 years, like the all-time team and all the moments. Like, I just cannot believe you're not going to opening day tomorrow. I can't believe you're not going. You need to get there.
Listen, I'm going to be at plenty of games. I'm going to be at plenty of games.
But opening day.
Oh, maybe I'll put in my credential request.
Oh, you go ahead with that.
I'm sorry, sir. We're full. But I'll put it in for the year. We'll see from a time to time. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to look. And I'm saddened that we don't have the relationship that we used to have with the Rays, but that's not my fault. That's not my fault. I believe in my heart, I'm as big a Rays fan as anybody. And I've just believed this ownership group has done us dirty. And it's this stadium should have been done a long time ago. It's financially completely viable then, even more completely viable now. It's just a matter of how much money is Stu going to make. It's gobs and gobs and gobs of money on this relocation deal. Not relocation, the redevelopment on the Trop site, and having a new stadium in an area that's much more populated and is growing by leaps and bounds. It's just, I've said this many times, and it's been backed up by people that are in the industry that I've said this to. Well, Bob Melandro, who at Whitecap Sports, who buys and sells franchises, professional franchises, knows this game better than anybody. And we asked him on the air, I mean, are there 20 other owners in baseball, maybe 25, that would trade places with Stu Sternberg and get to have this market moving forward? And he said, absolutely. I thought, absolutely. It's a gold mine. People are moving out of Cincinnati and Pittsburgh and Detroit and Chicago. They're moving here. And a lot of them are moving to the I-4 corridor. A ton of them are. And they're baseball fans. You have a and you can get the public and a public-private partnership to pay half of it. Major League Baseball pays him back for stadium costs over the next 10 years, plus the naming rights will pay for almost a third of his half. I mean, it's unbelievable how easy this deal should be to get done in Tampa, and what's better for everybody. But businessmen are businessmen, and if they can make another dime, they'll make another dime. And unfortunately, and play one city against the other, they'll do that too. It sucks, but that's where we're at. But there's nobody, I don't think, in media that champions this team more than I do, in terms of wanting it here and keeping it here. But I've got to be somebody's got to expose the underbelly, which is exposed in this documentary, of the bad business of baseball, which isn't always fair. It's not always in the fans' best interest. So, as a journalist, you've got to tell what you believe is the true side of the story. And that's what I've done. That's what I feel like I've done. I don't think I've been unfair. But I want this team to stay in Tampa Bay more than anybody. And I know the place that's most viable is Tampa. St. Peter's, if they build that thing, that team could, depending on what the lease says and who owns the team, they could move it in 5-10 years, even after you've built it. Because not enough people are going to go there because of the location. Has nothing to do with how wonderful the people of St. Petersburg are. Has nothing to do with how great the city of St. Petersburg is. It's nothing more than a simple logistic location. Yeah. That's all it is.
And I will say about the stadium, I did see this thing going on Twitter around this week, and it was one of those things where name a sports opinion that would have everybody pointing the gun at you, right? And I saw multiple responses of this, and I hate this all the time because it's the outside view. And people said that they should pick both franchises out of Florida, the Rays and the Marlins, because they have the fan base doesn't exist, and this and that and the other. And I hate that that's the outside narrative, because I feel like people in Miami would tell you, theoretically, we've talked about the history of baseball in Tampa, and we've done things with Fred McGriff for 40 minutes, who was born and bred in this area, and is a Hall of Famer.
That's right.
Wade Boggs. I keep going the list on and on and on. The event that you went to last week, that's another one. The baseball, this is a baseball town. I don't care what anybody says.
No question about it.
Miami, look at the excitement the World Baseball Classic generated in Miami. Look, when Miami back in the 90s, when they were first getting going, there was a lot of energy there. It's so natural. You have a lot of the Hispanic players on Miami. It just fits, right? I just feel bad because both organizations have let them down and have not allowed the fan bases to really show out and show who they are and that they exist.
That
goes for the Rays
true.
and that goes for the Marlins as well. And ownership has let them down from a stadium standpoint and letting the fan base shine through.
Both franchises, for the most part, from a lot of logistical standpoints and ownership issues, have done almost everything wrong since their birth. Miami started in a football stadium and played there for 20 years?
For a long time, yeah.
And it was awful.
No atmosphere.
Awful. I went to a game down there and I was like, this is horrific. The look of the stadium, the location of the stadium is in the middle of nowhere. It's nothing around it. You walk into it, it's a football stadium, has all Miami Dolphins colors. It's just
orange.
Orange. Yeah. It was weird configuration. When football season was on, it was just awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. And Huizenga, who was, came in, spent a lot of money, won a World Series and said, oh, screw it. Nobody's going to show up, and it sells off all the players. And then they go and they build a stadium. Then they go through all the stadium rigmarole. And then at the last minute, they're probably going to lose a team. And they come up with the worst location, the Orange Bowl site. Are you freaking kidding me? In the middle of Little Havana, very, very poor area of Miami, and where nobody wants to go to, a bad area of town, when the majority of the population, the affluent population, has moved north. You talk about Dade County. There's some beautiful places, Biscayne Bay, Miami Beach, and those areas. There's a couple of nice pockets, Turnberry, but for the most part, it's very poverty-stricken, and it's not nice. And that's exactly where they built that beautiful stadium. Had they built that stadium in the middle of the market in Fort Lauderdale, where people from West Palm and Jupiter and Miami could all come to, it would be a tremendous success. And the way they funded it, was corrupt to the hilt. If they're going to end up paying, I think, $2.5 billion in the end with all the interest and bull crap of public money to build that stadium, they did it all wrong. That's why people don't, and they had ownership groups, that pissed off the fans as well in Miami. We've done almost the same exact thing here. We built it in the wrong place. Major League Baseball told us not to build it here because it's a terrible location. And even at the time, the commissioner said it's eventually going to Tampa, eventually. And that was in the year 2000. Everybody knew it was eventually going to, when the shelf life ran off at Tropicana Field, which wasn't going to be very long, it was coming to Tampa. That was one of the reasons they said, you get the franchise, but eventually you got to get it over there. Yeah, we got it. And then Namoli comes in, and it's just a terrible owner. Just terrible. He's going into the boardrooms and pounding on the board. You got to buy season tickets. He's going to the fan breakfast and calling out all the local businessmen who don't have season tickets, asking them to stand up. Do you have season tickets? Do you have season tickets? Do you have season tickets? I mean, you couldn't have poisoned the water anymore, so much so that Major League Baseball had to come in and remove him to bring in Stu Sternberg, who eventually did a great job. But now he's done the same thing to the fans, and the fans hate the ownership.
Yeah.
My point is, we've done everything wrong in Florida. Why don't we try to do it right for once?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Why don't we try to fix it? And it's honestly, it's so simple. It's literally a location thing. It's literally a location thing. Get it right, so that this narrative that the state of Florida can't support two baseball teams,
right.
It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
If you put even good restaurants in bad locations, they're going to fail. How about we put it in a good location, build a state-of-the-art stadium? In my opinion, let Stu take his profit and go. Take your $1.5 billion profit and go. Get some local ownership in here who really, really cares about the area. And this is a grand freaking slam. And it's what's so hard to do would be so easy to do, in my opinion, if you just remove that one impediment. Hillsborough County has plenty of money to build the stadium, to get it done. With a private-public partnership, but you got to have an ownership group that's willing to work with them and pay their fair share. Like every other, like in Atlanta, like in Texas, like in every new stadium that's in Houston, every new stadium was built, the ownership groups were willing to step up and make it happen. This one has not in the right way. So if there's a legacy of this documentary, it's that. We need to do it the right way because it's been done the wrong way from the very, very beginning. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back and we'll tidy up everything. Looking ahead to the rest of the week, we've got a couple of notes I want to get in here from the NFL as well. There's going to be gambling in stadiums. Wonder what that's going to bring. Stay with us. Here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by. Never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Tell them JP sent you. Get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Hey guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. They don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Golden Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to lose weight or just lean up for bathing suit season where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there? You don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you so the weight comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, Italiano Insurance, the Gold and Diamond Source, American Mortgage Services, and Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. By the way, you can watch the documentary on PBS tomorrow night at 9 o'clock on your local WEDU PBS station, or you can go to their website, which is wedu.org, and it will be streaming there, or you can find a link to it. It will be streaming there. I cannot give out the link. I'm sorry. That is their property, not mine. So, so that's where you can watch it. There's lots of different plays. They're going to replay it. There'll be a schedule on there that you can watch the replays. So set your DVR if you can't watch it at 9 o'clock, but nice that it's going to be a day game, and then you can go home after you got your double raise fix, and then you can watch the documentary.
Golly, it's perfect.
Yes, right?
It's
perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Couple of other quick notes. Yesterday, the NFL owners voted to leave the sports books open during games in the stadiums. The Washington Commanders, Cardinals, Giants, and Jets already have sports books at the stadiums. The Commanders, the only one that has one inside the stadium. This is obviously going to be worth millions and millions of dollars. In fact, The Athletic, which was first to report the news, also reported that the revenue will not be shared with other teams until they exceed an amount believed to be $20 million. The money would then be shared with the other 31 teams. Already, you're allowed to gamble on your phones in stadiums, but this will make it even more interesting to be betting during the games. You can walk into the sports book, which, you should do for baseball as well. And you can pay for the stadium in Ybor City with that money alone, probably, certainly the state portion of the money. So why not? Let's do it.
I don't see no problem with it. If you're going to,
people are betting anyway.
I mean, if you can embrace gambling, you might as well go all in.
Right. Absolutely.
Just don't suspend your players for a whole year when they,
good God, so stupid. So stupid. Yeah. Yeah, they got to figure that part of it out.
That's what Mario just said. They suspend Calvin Ridley for that, and then they go and approve all these betting things.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, in case you missed it, yesterday the Bucs re-signed Deidre Sanat, former USF player, to bolster their defensive line because still Will Golston and Akeem Hicks are out there as free agents. Maybe we'll be able to bring them back depending on where the market goes with those two guys. We'll see post-draft if other teams sign them, but it will be nice to get them back if they could.
At this point, yeah.
Any other Rays notes that we need to know before opening day there, my friend?
All I know is I just seen pictures from the stadium, and I was just telling you, my gosh, it looks beautiful. My gosh, it looks beautiful.
He did show me the
look at that.
The bunting looks nice.
Oh, my goodness. We got the buntings.
And the fake,
I'm telling you.
Fake grass looks freshly vacuumed.
Freshly vacuumed.
the dirty white roof and the concrete wall. Looks like they've had some pressure washing.
I don't care. I don't
Not
care
the
what
roof, though.
I
The
don't care
roof
what you
is
say. If
awful.
you put your arm out and you put it on the roof there,
So that's why you wear a hat.
left
to
to
the
right,
game, so
I'm
you
telling
can't
you,
see. You can't see the roof or the wall.
from this raise up Tampa Bay sign all the way to the Trop thing in right field, you will not find many outfields that look better than that.
I will say this for the Rays: they have put a ton of lipstick on this pig and done so many wonderful things. They really have, and it is fun. It's a fun atmosphere to go into when it's full. I'm not dogging. It's nice that it's air conditioning. It's all good. It's all good. But we can do so much better. You can have all those things without the bad things in an area that's much more accessible. All the good stuff, which is what we deserve.
And also good news, Wander Franco is ready to go.
Wander's going to
according to Kevin Cash. So Wander will be in the lineup.
Great. For how long on that turf that he does not agree with his?
Shut your mouth! Look at this. There's a sneak peek back there. New graphics that look fantastic.
Oh, the new scoreboard does look good. So they used to have one big panel, and now they have 3 big panels. That's new, right?
Yeah, I remember they added this out here where it's a big panel out in center as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they've done everything they can to put, lipstick on this one. But I'll be looking forward to the new.
Is this lipstick from Sephora or lipstick from from Nordstrom?
It's definitely from Sephora. Actually, it's from the dollar store. Most of it's from the dollar store. We don't even get Sephora. That's where the Rays shop, the dollar store, or five and under. What's that? No, 5 Below. Is that the new one?
Some of you are bad. Thomas said did they demold the Trop?
Demold the Trop. Is that what that is? Is that mold on there? That demold the Trop.
Oh my gosh, some of you are bad, man.
Yeah, they need to. All right, fun day. That was really a fun show today. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll be back tomorrow. By the way, the actual producer of the show will be joining us tomorrow. His name is escaping me. Eric Davis. Yeah, like the old Reds player. Eric Davis will join us tomorrow, the producer of the show. We'll get into more of the how it was made, but another interesting conversation coming tomorrow about the documentary. Of course, we'll be talking about opening day and get all that good stuff going as well. So get your tickets now. Have they announced the sellout? I don't think they have. They have? Okay, good. All right. Thanks to all our guests today, Scott Reynolds as well, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.